Good afternoon, Abbotsford residents. I'm Mr. Pelican. I'm running for the mayor of Abbotsford to bring the RCMP in. Why did I say the RCMP? Why did I say the RCMP? You knew Henry owned the whole Abbotsford police. I learned in the beginning from Darren Brown, the economic development officer, why the Abbotsford men were targeting me. And I made sure the RCMP mission knew. And they searched and they said, Mr. Pelican, if you're a criminal, and Abbotsford residents and homeowners are a criminal. I said, first, if they were a criminal, Pierre Poilievre wouldn't let them on the EDA of Ed Fast, would he now? You got a criminal check, so they couldn't be criminals. We would take the case and handle it and put surveillance on you and your residents. And we're not doing that. And Abbotsford police are increasing the time cards, and Richness is doing these favors for Henry. I made it clear to the RCMP, nah, them stupid men in that uniform were doing anything, and they lose their job, they risk humiliation, and risk public scrutiny on them, and criminal charges, and they'll do this because they're greedy for money. They don't care. They always want the extra little bit, and Henry found them people like Olenoff, Sleemans, and all these, and Mike Sir, that will want a little bit more rather than say, no, I'm not doing that. It was for developments, and I learned that in the beginning. Developments was bigger than the fentanyl. It's the biggest ring in organized crime is developments. It also frauds taxpayers locally and provincially, and then you got to work it. And it was a well started out group, but they called themselves politicians to blindside the community. Then their friends who were friends would clean and help each other. But they got into attempted murders. They got into threatening and loading the elections because they needed to make sure that they could pass over the general community like a jury the decisions and outweigh them. And then they started having the developer run their mayors and signs. And they justified that I'm a lawyer, Mark Workentine's a lawyer, I have public trust. People believe I have morals and ethics and standards. And he was in England when they rigged his stuff, and they spoke for him, Abbotsford first. And he owned that land titles office. And then he ran his signs all on Rom Funk. But he took the responsibility, saying, Mr. Pelican, wasn't me. You think the RCMP coming? I said, Mark, listen, you idiot. Listen, you got a developer to run your signs. Whether Abbotsford first put him there or not, you still took the glory of the win. You still allowed him to speak for you. You still increased and took that position rather than say, I'm step away from Abbotsford. And you took what they offered you, and they were a slate. And whatever they do, you're accessory to doing it. And you're a lawyer. You're a lawyer, and you couldn't figure this out. Well, Henry, I'll tell you, he's got the police chasing me. So I knew the RCMP. I made it clear to Mission that I had a lot of good friends politically and in the construction, and I'm going to do this for my town. The threats went too far, especially I never saw the attempted murder coming. That I was blindsided by, and you can see by a lot of my podcasts how bad I want Mike Sir brought back here and charged. I don't believe that, that no victim should go through this, and that man should be made an example to all law enforcement everywhere and stripped down. And everybody that was in the office when Mike was there, and he was the chief, that's the assistant chief, the directors and secretaries charge him and have him charged for covering, experiencing a murder, organized crime, and we'll go other stuff. So I knew it was for development signs. I told you I knew from Peter Wall Financial, Aquilini, Mike Dakota. You don't want to get caught hiding or cheating or cutting a development sign down or spraying graffiti over it. The city, to prove that they're not rigging with the general community to the developer and they're giving the developer preferential treatment, they got to hold the developer responsible when the sign's touched. And usually a sign goes on 6x6s, 4 corners of the adjacent land and everything else. But when you got cheating going on, you got a manager of the city, a lawyer of the city, an engineer. And bylaws, just nobody. Bylaws, just garbage. They can play her, and she jumps up and down when they like Magda. But the engineer has to be receiving massive perks and massive stuff by not increasing fines or shut down things. And his garbage that the mayor told me is not enough. You walk out because you endangered people's lives, like the Cooper's Farm. You endangered people now on the Mackenzie Bog. Dave Sadoo's property, you give a green light, the helicopter flying out of there, rocks going everywhere. Maybe I should get WCB involved because that seems to shut everybody down. But here, I'm across from the mall. I'm at Envisions, and I want to show you what the CITY Informants told me. The RCMP said, Mr. Pelican, we want you to stay with it. I said, all the way. They knew that the sympathy of the general community, seeing my family, seeing me, knowing I was left for dead, knowing all the threats day after day, we're an investigator, we can do this. And they knew that this is insane, because now we don't know how many cops are dying because they were entrapping people and threatening. You're dealing with human beings. And when human beings are framed and they're wrongfully accused, the human being will attack the other human being no matter he's in uniform or not. You could stand before the general public, make all your lies that you're in law enforcement, you died in the line of duty. You can stand before the court, the judge will make a big ruling that, yeah, you touched the officer. The officers use that garbage for their leniency against the community. You see them smashing cameras. You should not be doing that. The general public's got to be able to call you out now and have a camera on you. They're not in the washroom taking pictures of your privates, so you don't need to smash them. You don't need to, and they need to stand firm because we got too many dirty, corrupt police officers, and we need that for the public. And we need that kind of help on that magnitude. Cameras are very valuable. And when you're smashing them, you're hiding stuff, and that's why the general public doesn't agree with you right away. And we got to stop protecting these police officers and giving them this massive appraise when they're doing shit like this. The RCMP of Mission did a tremendous thing for Abbotsford. And you can hear when I compliment them for not only for me, but for my community and everything, as human beings, as officers, and as make sure that the people all were involved, that evidence was locked in. And they used their wisdom and knowledge over this crap of Abbotsford, this garbage, this shit, this manipulating political police force that all cares about what they could get. Didn't care about this town. I told the RCMP a few days ago on Boundary Road, they're protecting the US border for FIFA Cup. And I told them that I was going to release why they're chasing me and monitoring my truck. Henry Brown knew that if it gets to the public and it gets out to the opposition that he cheated on development signs, and developers were winning favors with council in Henry's house, which is called collaborating, and developers weren't getting their permits pulled or shut down by manager, the city, and engineer, you paid the official off. Right, Isaac? Right, Rob Isaac? This is experience. So Henry knew he needed to shut my mouth with all the experience I learned from Wall, Aquilini, Mike Dakota. Look there. That development sign is perfectly hidden. And what it's hidden for is the owner goes in and he pays the city official off. And that is prime example that the city official has took a bribe because there's many complaints on it. So you go around, before you accuse them, you go around and you look how many complaints, like on Dave Sadu's, how many times they phone Rob Isaac about the dust and everything. Then you just do the homework. When Rob Isaacs is making excuses to go somewhere on some dike committee rather than enforcing the fines that are endangering people, you know he's getting the grease. The grease is sliding. And this is why we'll go after Rob Isaac, because them bureaucrats are in, like Darren Brown said, up to their neck. And these complaints are continuously, and he figures he's smarter by deflecting and everything. He's used that ticket like Vicky Hopes did. When a developer gets caught, an owner gets caught cheating like that. So here's what takes place. You want to go in and develop it. Let me use my experience for you. The city will tell you, now the proper city, not this crap here in Abbotsford, can pop up in Chilliwack. It's very good. You saw what he did to Ron Funk. Don't haul that contaminated dirt into Chilliwack. The city will tell you that you got to post that sign in that clearing and one at that piece of the property, and it's got to be on 6x6s, and it can't be where bikes go under or people can get hurt and everything, but it's got to be in plain sight so the general public can see and they got say over it. When you're doing that stuff, that means the city officials, because you're supposed to post it, then you take a picture with your phone and you send it to the city. They go, yeah, his sign's up. And when you post it and you're doing that, you're cheating. And when you're cheating, you run the risk of losing the zoning, the survey, the architecture drawings, and like Ron Funk, he had pre-sales. He was already I can't lose it. And now you paid the city official off. Now that's a very small favor, you would think. Oh, who cares? You know, the guy made a couple of $1 million. But at that couple of $1 million, he wasn't just happy with the money. He started getting into threats. and threats. Then he started buying city officials and police force. And the police officers started worrying, if I get caught, like Mike Sir, I go to jail the rest of my life because I swore an oath. Then it escalated to another favor, to another favor, to another favor, to another favor, to another favor. Then it got into organized crime. Then it got into embezzling money and winning decisions. Then it got into rigging elections and using the police to threaten. All for that. Not for fentanyl labs in Abbotsford. Not for the lie there's gangs in Abbotsford. Not for the lie there's break-ins and extortion rings. These police force went around and did this. And they went to Kearney and said the extortion ring in Abbotsford. And they were lying as a police force, believing that they could snow job the general community. And yet the informant, Darren Braun, was tipping it off right away of what they were doing. My dad's so rich. Nobody knows how to say no to my dad. And that's why Mike DeYoung could say, cut a deal. What? Cut a deal with Henry, he owns Abbotsford. That's why Ed Fast could sell his soul. And this is what take place. But the years of Henry ridiculing his son and treating his son like garbage, and then rewarding Ross Siemens over his son, and allowing Ross to sit on his ass as city council at the gas station, where his son was told, you got to work every day, the daddy rule, and you get out there, and doing his dad's insider trading on job sites. Figured, now I'll teach my son. You leave the city as economic development officer, and you go up and you set up a development company, and you phone everybody with all the information and inside information you got from the city, and you tell a developer, I'll run the job site, you give it to me, and I can get it through because I know all the contacts in the city, and they owe me. And all Rob Isaac and everybody owes me, and they can't say no to my dad. And this took away from development from the South Asians that had building permits. They were 2 years waiting, and it led to threats to them. It led to blocking their land. It led to Henry doing the research and going, okay, listen, this guy's wrong. He wants to build 2 houses. Stall his development as long as you can. Make him for hurt, and then we'll buy him out, and then we'll build. And this is what they were doing in the city. Then Sir Henry took open Mike away so the opposition couldn't see it. But Henry had the Abbotsford police. And I knew, you got to go after Henry. Solidly after Henry. He's got all the politicians tied to him. And when you push on Henry, you'll see the politicians not defending Henry. You didn't see Ed say, oh, I knew Henry for 40 years. He's a good guy. He packed his shit and he ran. You didn't see Mike DeYoung. You didn't see anybody. They split because they knew Henry did it. And that there is the difference between somebody that would vouch for you that's honest and somebody that's not. And yet when Bruce was scandaled by the bureaucrats behind on the chicken manure, and Bruce owned the manure, Abbotsford residents came to defend Bruce Banman. They came to defend him and stand up. When Henry went after the councils that were running, Rianne Gasper and them, they came to defend her and get her elected. And they knew her character. But when you see this, you know the guy's character. Right there, you don't even need to get more evidence. When you could see the Abbotsford investigators, not saying Mike Sir was good shit. You know right now, Mike, I'm going to go too, Mike. And Mike probably phoned him, in my opinion, listen, you got to go shut them guys down. This guy's got massive experience. He cares about the town. You threatened his life. You ridiculed him. He wants to make sure the law punishes you. And the law is going to punish you a lot harder than I can. I can bust your ribs, break you up, and justify a few stitches, but the law is going to punish you really big. They're going to take your assets, they're going to send you to jail, they're going to blacklist you, and you'll be hated everywhere. And this is what you got to do. This is what a professional will do for its community. But that there tells you why Rob Isaac didn't go out to Dave Sedou's property. That there tells you why Rob Isaac allowed Ron Funk to change. That tells you there. And I want to tell you, Rob, I want to tell you, the city lawyer and the city manager, I argue for the RCMP because they're the best. And why? Why? One, for our safety. 2, they follow protocol like WCB. They don't care who you are. And 3, they'll be able to seize your accounts and go after you. And they can see that and go, yeah, Rob Isaac's in up to his neck. And past his neck. And beyond his neck. Especially when complaints come. And Rob Isaac, it's easy as this. Go into Magna and say, Magna, either you didn't enforce the bylaw and you made me look bad, and you haven't given any infractions, so where's the tickets? And you took money to hide that under the zoning permit, and now you're fired. And Magna's just a flunky they throw around. And this is what took place in this town for them to embezzle off taxpayers, treat people like shit, go a walk across families, and they were going to leverage in caviar and race cars and Lamborghinis and everything. And now you're going to lose it all. And that's the say. You're going to lose it all because there is no Abbotsford police to protect you. There is no politician to protect you. And God knows that we could see Pierre Poilievre hasn't landed that big jet in Abbotsford to walk around with Brad Viss, has he? On the flood money. He should be supporting that loser, that MLA or that MP. And he hasn't, because he knows the same as I do. Brad was sent there by Ed and Henry to lobby that money for them gravel pits for him and not for them farmers. And you haven't seen Carney walk in through Abbotsford either, with none of them, because they were doing it. And they knew, so they went out and they maintained a distance away. Well, they knew Abbotsford residents, which was unfair, had to fight this. And at any time, they could have ordered the RCMP in, and the RCMP would have had enough evidence, thanks to the mission men and women, to go after them. And this is why you see the black and whites behind me all the time, smashing my phone, smashing my camera and everything. Not because I slept with their wives or I owed them money or anything, because Henry told them, Mr. Pelican's going to podcast out with all them knowledge and them developers that are on him. The unfairness that I blocked other developers to increase my richness and my friends' richness, to get the government contracts and rigging and everything, and all the zoning permits that we embezzled in insider trading, I need you to go smash them. And that there, you could pay that police officer pretty handsome, and he's going to do it. And Henry figured he'd do it from the top, because the guys at the bottom got morals and ethics. And he went up the top and he used them. But Henry's son opened the door. And I would have been there to tell Henry, you know, right out the get-go, if they ever grab your son, and your son tells, you're all going down. And then it was too late. So I want to make something clear to Ross Siemens. Criminal act is a criminal act. And that deserves jail and punishment by the courts and the jury and the community. Embezzling money, rigging decisions, threatening people also deserves our courts and a sentence. And there's no pass because you figure you got an establishment. Henry took you down this route. Henry put you in this. Your dad tried to have a meeting with me to get you out of it, and you didn't stop it. And you allowed Henry and not call him out to try to end people's lives. You knew he used the police force to threaten so you could win and benefit. And now you're going to stand to be judged and be criticized and go before our courts and our law, because I'm going to tell Mr. Pelican, an Abbotsford resident, have the court and the RCMP involved. We're going to toss these videos out every day on all the insider trading, who paid who and paid who and paid who. So if you want good sleep, you have to make sure Henry Brown gets in them cuffs, Mike Sir gets in cuffs, Ed Fast and Mike DeYoung. They were the elites, and maybe the rest of you can, but Henry blackjacked y'all, and he had you owned, and this is how he could get Ross to run for mayor. So I want to make something clear to Abbotsford. You don't see the Abbotsford policing behind me no more, do you? Because I gave it up. I told the RCP, okay, we're going to show it now of why they're chasing me. And they couldn't figure out why they're chasing me. And now you know why they were chasing me. This is worth more than meth, than crystal meth. This is worth more than running a prostitution ring. This is worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's free money. It's free money. It's free money, and it's a no risk at all for this money unless somebody catches you. And then it's a big risk. And then you got to pay the piper big, and you got to buy officials, and you got to buy a police force, because that stuff will send you down harder than drug trafficking. I'm live, Abbotsford, British Columbia.